Vanakkam, sir. Welcome to Chennai.
I think the loudest cheers for any session today have been done, which was for you. Although big people are coming, but
It's the beginning of the day. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I think all that filter coffee and everything. Uh, Hello, Chennai. It's my absolute privilege to be here, to be Southern Rising. I think you are one of the, like if there is a term you can called Southern Rising, your name is there in that. Like you are one of the reasons that this term exists, even that Southern Rising, with the kind of work you've done. Tell me something. Before you became an actor, you ran a visual effects studio, right? For 5 years. So while you were associated with the industry then, you weren't famous. You weren't like your face, your name wasn't famous. And then this fame came, and then Baahubali exponentially multiplied it for you. How has it been for you as a person? Like how does extraordinary fame change you as a human being?
Firstly, good morning, ellarku vanakkam. Thank you, sir. Yes, I started my career in the movies with visual effects. The reason I started that because I was fascinated with movies in the first place, and I thought visual effects was the answer to making bigger and bigger movies, and that's why visual effects began. But very quickly I realized a service business is not something that you need to be in, especially in the entertainment industry that's pretty unstructured, not really sectored. And I used to do this in 2004-5, that time, so it's been a while. What happened after was the decision to become an actor or take this path was because I was unable to make the films that I wanted to. You needed talent because it was stopping at talent at some point. It was stopping at filmmakers at the other point. I knew I wasn't mature enough to be a filmmaker or direct my own film because I knew I had to learn a lot. I did theater in my younger days in school. There was a sense of understanding character, understanding how to portray characters. That's something that I understood. And so I quit my job, I trained for that, and I went into the movies as an actor this time. What does fame really do? I think I've been in the movies long enough, and I've been blessed to be in a family that's been there much, much longer. And fame is actually a job, and we treat it very much like that. It's being famous is a job. Every time you get out, you got to be famous, but you go back and you got to be who you are and what got you here. So that's the reason that we wear it literally as a job and take it off once job is done.
What's the best part of being famous, and what's the worst or not so savory part of being famous?
There's nothing that's not so good about being famous.
Okay. Okay, that's very honest. You did visual effects in 2005. Those must be different days, like the computing speed, the internet speed. It is
Yes.
very, very different, right? Is it totally different today? Like, I know you're not doing it now, but...
Of course. I mean, whether it's cost, manpower, whether it's skill, talent, whether it's the kind of cinema that's being made, I think all boundaries have pushed in India in a very different direction. What I've done is pretty much ancient now. It's so I'll give you a little anecdote. I used to run a post-production facility at the same time I ran this, and all my equipment is now in a museum in Vizag. So
Oh, wow.
that's how quickly this changes, and I was so happy every time I go there. It's like I'm not stuck in that museum. I have a job.
You know, I've been part of a few films in Mumbai, and I know a few visual effects people just as friends, and they tell me that a lot of what we see in movies we don't know. Like there is something like there was a budget for, I won't say which movie, which actor, for fat reduction. Like they can actually make the hero look thinner, and is that possible? And how does
If I can make you look green, I can make you look fat, I can make you look like the Incredible Hulk, I can do whatever. It's on how much patience you have to do it, how much prep you have to do it. See, that's what visual effects is. It's aiding the filmmaker to dream as creative as you want. You're a writer, you write stuff. Now I'm saying you write it based on social understanding. That's your first influence. But the fact that you can go beyond this world and there's a lot more is what visual effects really aids artists and writers to do.
Yeah. Last question on visual effects before we move on to other things, because I think it's relevant today. Artificial intelligence is considered the next revolution. There is like a boom abroad on it. And we've already seen some demonstrations of AI in film. Like at least some, the YouTube, you can now have different languages. It's probably possible even now that there's automatic dubbing happening or all kind of things happening. Maybe some actors can be replaced, I don't know. Like at least smaller actors, like you don't need to cast for certain roles. Where do you think AI will have a profound impact, especially in a place like India where so many languages are there? Do you think it will change our film industry or it'll be a modest impact?
See, AI will impact everybody. Doesn't matter if you're in the films, doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, you're a banker, you're doing accounting, you're a doctor. It's going to disrupt everyone's lives. It's what the internet did to us many years ago, where we just didn't have access about information. You didn't know anything about anything. You got to read stuff, you have to study things. And this is our next turn. And this is something that, see, the internet was very quickly applicable to us. If say 20 years ago when I started visual effects, if I told someone's going to buy on a phone, it just sounded like a ridiculous idea. So it'll feel like that in the beginning, because any new tech, any new change, we'll be averse to for a little while till we start understanding it well enough. Now, when pertaining to the entertainment industry, it'll do the same, where there will be a lot. See, the entertainment industry picks up any tech even at a very, very early stage, because it's constant creativity. You're trying to create what you imagine. So the faster it can create processes, it'll keep going on. When you come to the sense of replacing humans, it'll be the humans that understand AI that'll be running the world, and not AI really running the world, at least in our lifetimes, if not the next.
Right. But tell me something. You've been part of some of the biggest films of cinema. But in general, while we do have a few very big hits in a year, spectacle movies, in general, like romantic films or a lot of like medium budget films, people just don't go to the theaters as much now because there is so much to watch on OTT, on the phone. And with AI coming in, I could just take out my phone and say, I'm bored, entertain me. I don't even know what I want to watch. Some of it is already there. If you open YouTube, it'll tell you. And usually it's pretty good at guessing what I want to see. Like my mother has a YouTube which is totally different from mine. Her home screen, like she likes to watch some spirituality videos and all. They keep popping up. It could get even more refined and it could get more tailor-made. Is the film industry under some sort of a threat, consolidation? Is it going to become a bit like the circus? Or is it going to survive, like books have survived, thankfully? How do you see all this?
How do I see? Okay, it's a multi-layered question, so let me try to answer it in the best possible manner. Always there have been different forms of entertainment. Cinema has stayed really, really long, the exact same way it was. 100 years ago when cinema started in India, it was just being shot on film and projected back on film. Now it's being shot digitally and just projected back digitally on the exact same screen. Tech enhancements, all of that will happen, experiential things happen, but it's pretty much been the same for many, many years. You will have discovery, which is a communal experience that you can't get with an independent device. That will always continue to exist. And every time we speak about change in the entertainment world, like you see, this is actually the first time I'm seeing South India in a certain form, just independently. But cinema across the country is very, very different. We have about 12 large industries that make film, 4 or 5 that are really large and established. Whether small cinemas working, big cinemas not working is sometimes a function of the weekend in a different town. It doesn't happen, the same does not repeat in each of these places. Last weekend, Telugu had a film called Mad, which is a film that's probably costed under 5 or 6 crores to make. It's done twice or thrice as much already in 3 days. Now, cinema continues to work every single place. It's just the means to monetize it, the way to advertise it, the way to go closer to consumer will start changing. And cinema itself will start becoming, like today it is more and more immersive. Like from regular social cinema, we created social fantasy, like Baahubali and others, right? You will start seeing interactive cinema where cinema can start interacting with you in some ways. Already the OTTs, Netflix and others have a few shows that are in that format where they travel with you. So it'll start getting more and more personalized on devices and more, see, there's always a right brain, left brain, there's always a, you private, you public, right? You will always need humans, you will always need experiential things to do, whether it's going to a cricket match or watching something together or interacting with something together. So that will not cease to exist. You will just call it different forms. Like it's called the film industry. There's no film anymore. We still use that term. Film is gone at least a decade ago now. And so is it entertainment altogether? We'll start combining media and entertainment as one single enterprise and start moving. It won't be an industry by itself.
Yeah, you're very smart and insightful about all this. And
did that answer your question in some ways?
Yes,
okay.
I think so. And I think you have very deep insight into industry, right from the fact that if you want to be in the film industry, you don't want to be one of the service providers. I ask you this because, at least in some interview I've seen, you dropped out of college. You've not, like, and this is the...
No, let's say they didn't let me stay for too long. They said you have to leave.
You didn't drop out, they...
Dropped me out.
Yes. Yeah, so which is almost worse. And this is the land of degrees, you know. At least I'm married to Tamilian, so I know how much degrees are valued. Even the politicians coming today, you know, I'm interviewing them later. You see their resume, it feels like they're applying for a CEO's job. Like the engineers and MBA, and like, but you, from formal education is not there. Clearly, you've done a lot of things in life. You are now a startup investor. You've invested in companies. You run businesses. You do so much. I'm asking you this because not for you, but for there are many people in India who do not get those degrees, but they still want to do well in life. What do you have to say to that, and how have you kind of reached this level where you could almost talk about AI and film industry, everything?
Well, did I wish I studied better when I was younger? Yes, for sure. But on the hindsight, the way I developed business or what I do right now is because my thoughts are not structured or tamed to anything. There's a certain fearlessness when you don't have too much information. So if you see my early part of my career, there'll be a lot more that I've done than what I do now, because the energy is very different. You get to learn things while you burn. I kept studying when I needed it in some strange way. What did I grow up with all my life? I know stories because I read Amar Chitrakatha and I watched movies. And that created what I do in the first place, where I understood storytelling so I could be in the movie business. When I had to sell my visual effects company, or rather when I somewhere knew that this is not a business I want to be in for the rest of my life, I didn't understand what selling a business meant. So I went to 3 weeks to IIM in Ahmedabad, studied about mergers and acquisitions, came back and sold the company.
Wow.
So I think it's important to learn, but unless you understand the application of learning, I just feel like it's redundant. And I think like cinema has been the same for 100 years and needs to change and figure out interactivity, I think the system of education of basic school and others will start evolving into teaching newer things and newer ways of life.
Yeah, that is something. I've spent a lot of time.
Not bad for a dropout, isn't it?
No, and has your college called you back for a talk or something? Like the college that asked you to drop out?
No, my college never called me because I was there for so little time.
They don't even know.
They don't even think
Did he come here?
I'm in it. But no, I went back to school. So let me tell you, like, schooling is the real education that I had all my life. I went to, for the first year of my life, I was here in Chennai. I was born here.
Which school here?
I went to Chettinad Vidyashram first, and then I moved to Hyderabad. I went to Hyderabad Public School. It was interesting when I was a kid because I went to two like palace-looking schools. They were like just phenomenal, both the campuses. And Hyderabad, I got to live for a much longer period. So I spoke Tamil more than I spoke Telugu in my early years. And Hyderabad, most of them spoke Hindi. So it's not Hindi that you speak, it's Hindi that's Hyderabadi, that's Dakkani, it's very different. Now though I didn't perform well in school, what the environment of that school taught me is everything that I know. The school helped me to dream big. I was like the size of the Hyderabad Public School is like some 200 odd acres or something. And even if you jump out of class, it's so hard to find you in a 200-acre campus. We have like 6 football courts and like it's just really huge. So now this sense of scale always came from there. If you wanted to build something, you wanted to build it big. You wanted to be as cool as your school looked. My friendships that I have are across, we never had the sense of language, caste, color. We were all in Hyderabad. It was like a mixed pot of people at that point. And I think that's really the sense of what India is. So I think school had taught me a lot, even though I didn't study in it. So I think it's important to go to school, experience a life, experience friendship, and I think that's schooling to me.
What do you think the sense of India is?
It's unity and diversity. That's why we're here, right? And I think unless you're able to create that in every walk of your life and entertain it and engage with it, you will truly never understand the country.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a philosophical question. You know, movies like Baahubali, they obviously had tremendous audience appeal. And there is usually a hero, a villain. And often the biggest movies in the world are those, Avengers. There's a clear hero and villain. There is violence on screen. And people enjoy such movies a lot. When it happens in real life, though, as it's happening right now, for example, in Gaza and Israel, the Palestine-Israel situation at the moment, it just becomes really difficult, firstly, to watch. I don't know, if you open TV today, and it is horrifying what is happening. And there are human beings in this world, like there are reports of babies' heads, literally babies' heads getting cut off. Like, in which, what can justify that? Why is this happening? It's very different from a fictional movie. And it's very hard to pick hero and villain. But at the same time, you have social media today, you have people force you to pick a side. You know, if you say that I find any baby dying morally wrong and disgusting, it's like, but who do you think is right? You know, who's the hero? Who's the villain? And we love stories like this. How do you see this when you, on one hand, you've been part of these movies of battles, and when you see this real battle unfold, unnecessary violence, too much violence, how do you see it?
So let's get to, see, these are big points to answer, and I don't think I'm in a position or qualified enough to answer these things and make statements about them. But since you gave the sense of story, let me go from there. Whether it's the Ramayana, whether it's the Mahabharata, whether it's tales that we understand, are always told with good and bad, because that's the most basic thing that every single one understands. It goes across denominator where doesn't matter where you come from, what you learned, what your language is, you understand good and bad, you have a sense of it. And what are these great mythologies that we speak about today was history at some point that was told to us. So the next generations understood that this was right and this was wrong. So that's I think as a storyteller, that's very important to consistently be able to tell this. Imagine all the stories of war that you heard in real life. Today might be big films, might be great books, but if you go back to the period when it happened, it's those people telling us now that this is not what you're supposed to do. So I think that's the essence of being a storyteller, is being able to find that good and bad, be able to consistently tell it to people, influence them in right directions, and take it from there. I think that's how I take this question.
No, it's fine, and we don't have to be specific to something, but what I often find is this desire to say that this is good and this is evil. Whereas, at least from my experience as a writer for several decades, I've seen that it exists together. Human beings, you can't say good guy, evil guy. Whereas in stories, it often gets simplified like that. We know who was the good guy in Ramayana. I would say, you know, sometimes there are some grace given, but generally, but in a situation like, for example, the Israel-Palestine war right now, people are picking sides in India also. Even though we don't have really got skin in the game.
When you talk about picking sides, if someone's picking sides on social media, that's just their entertainment. There's nothing real about it. So I think first, when you're talking about picking sides, if there's somebody from the political realm of the country speaking about it, I think that should be right. I don't even think it's right to speak on public platforms about. I wanted to say it earlier, but sorry, because if you're not being directly active in something and doing something about it, I think you have no right to speak about it. And that's how I lead most of my life, because that's only creating discussion for more and more people to discuss and do nothing about it. So I think leading discussion, unless we are physically, mentally, in all ways being able to take this, solve it, find a resolution, I think we are not in a position to speak.
But okay, that's an interesting take, and there's nothing to agree or disagree on that. But what about if you're just a citizen of this country and you want to talk about inflation, for example, something which really applies to everybody, or national security, or many issues that affect unemployment, or so. Is there something called public opinion, or are you saying that you can share it with your friends and in your drawing room, but putting it out there on public platforms without any skin in the game as such is not very productive?
One is without any skin in the game, one. Second is assuming that everyone is thinking like you, or you are really influencing somebody. Nobody is influencing anybody. They just, everyone's creating an entertainment for themselves, and that's how social media works. And you ask more of it, that'll keep getting you more. Like you said, your mom's phone and your phone will be very different. Check your mom's phone. She will have nicer things to say. Let's be there.
Yes, please do not check my Twitter. It's election season, and I know you've clearly stated your policy if I'm not directly involved. But it's going to multiply now. It's already multiplied. This thing on our side good, your side bad. We are good people, you are evil people. It's not just, people often forget that all these political parties are all Indian parties. Actually, they have the same passport, we are all the same. But it sometimes at least comes across, and because it's election season, it's going to be on steroids now, that we are good, you are bad. Any issue is polarized very quickly. Any issue. I won't even say it's just religious communism. Even North and South, even, you know.
When hasn't it been?
I don't know.
Why is it any new this time? Then, okay, I've lived now for close to 40 years in this country. At least from the time I was 18, I was part of elections, I was part of voting things. I had some family who was in politics for some time in their lives. There was never a time it was any different. It's just there will be some more news channels being able to communicate more. There will be some more debates being held. But nothing changes on ground. It's the exact same way that the British played it, and then we continue to do the exact same. So I don't think there's really much difference in what's happening unless we're hyping that up.
Yeah, I guess there's just more visibility. There's just more platforms for people to talk, fight on, entertainment-linked fighting. What would you say to young people, though, like youngsters who look up to you, they idolize you? Should they be on social media platforms becoming fanboys or fangirls of a certain politician, criticizing, making their point? They think they're contributing to the nation. They're like, you know, this is my stance and this is how it should be, and you guys are bad, we are good. Like that.
They'll grow up and figure they've contributed nothing. So they'll find their way.
So you would recommend them to basically focus on their own life? Focus on
See, I think today is probably the best time you can live in terms of opportunity in this country. Whatever you want to become. Whether it's, you can create something here and you can travel the world with it. The audience is not just local anymore, or take, for example, even for a film, it's not your local language anymore. You make something good, there's a world out there to see you. So I think just in every stride, there is so much opportunity, so much where an individual can go. And I think all platforms are available to create. I know so many people that have created jobs, created value, created companies based on things that they learned on social media. So choose which side you want to be, and I think that's what everything's about.
One of the really admirable qualities about you I liked is that, and it is often not understood, people just think, oh, Baahubali happened and then you became big, is that you work damn hard. You work all the time. Like you have YouTube channels, you have talk shows, you have movies, you have production, you have different languages going on. I mean, one of the good things about being pan-Indian is you are all over the place, but the bad thing is also that you're all over the place and you're always working. And I think that has led to your success. So why don't, without being modest, why don't you talk about your, like a daily routine or weekly routine, so that other people can get inspired, and rather than wasting their time creating cheap entertainment on social media, writing tweets or X's, whatever they're called now, they can focus on their life.
So one, like I said, I grew up with an unstructured thought. So I never knew what was work and what was my life. I liked movies. I liked movies like Star Wars, and I thought making a visual effects company would drive me to doing it. But then clearly no, I had to be an actor, and we had to find a director as great as Rajamouli to make a film like this happen. So I don't know if it's a job, it's my lifestyle. I enjoy doing this all the time. Because most of my career or what I've done so far is built on things that haven't been done before. And I find it fun to go on that path because A, there's nobody in that path. And you have to make the mistakes, you have to learn, you have time to grow. And that's been it. So what is my day like? It depends exactly on what I'm doing. There's a shooting day and a non-shooting day. A shooting day is I become a human being that's not me, that I'm playing for a certain bit of time. That character will influence me in doing other things too. But yeah, during filming, I don't do many things because you're not really you. You're being a child in some ways, playing dress up and being somebody else. But on a work day, again, there's everyday things to do, and I have to train, I have to get my health right. All of that goes first in the toss, and after that, just as you're healthy, just keep doing things that excite you and things that you're happy about. Work with people that you enjoy working with. Work with people that know more than you at all times. And I think that'll just keep you engaged. It doesn't matter how long in the day you work. There are many days I just do nothing, but just think of what's been happening. So I have a lot of interesting time like that.
Yeah, you're extraordinarily fit. There's no VFX happening there. And we were just discussing backstage how you told me that in Baahubali, when also you were very fit, your weight was in the 120 kilo range.
Yes.
And today, when also you're very fit, it's in the 90 kilo range. I think it's an important point. I want people to understand that we obsess about the scale. I think like a lot of people want to lose weight, and they obsess about the scale that fitness is losing weight. Whereas you were really fit in Baahubali, and that's a 30 kilo difference. How do you see fitness and this scale obsession, weighing scale obsession? What do you want to tell people about that? Because so that they can actually get to a productive path of fitness.
So I'll tell you a little myth about me. I'm really not a very fit guy. Like I was never all my life. The movies made you do that because you got to look like somebody else. And when I'm not shooting, I don't even train most times. But what happens is there'll be films like Baahubali and others that'll push you to the extreme, that you've done almost like amateur bodybuilding type of training. That'll hold on for a couple of years. So I'm really not the right guy to give fit advice or any of those. I just look the part and I keep myself fit enough to look like anybody that I want to play. So hence, do not follow my routines, do not do what I do. It's really unhealthy sometimes, but that's the fun. I'm still being a kid.
Really? You're not very careful with your diet and like macros and carbs and
Oh, no, dude. No.
You eat biryani in Hyderabad?
Dude, I live in Hyderabad. You obviously eat biryani. We eat biryani like thrice a week or something.
Really? No, I'm really serious. Like people say that they gain weight by just looking at unhealthy things. I think it's something to do with your metabolism, something to do with, like, how is it like, I know you're being modest, but you are.
No, I'm saying you have to look like this guy in the back. Mm-hmm. You got to train for 5 years every single day, 6 days or 7 days a week, eat like 3,000 calories, and you do it for 6 years, you'll be fit for another 5 or 6, and then I can keep going. That's how life works.
Okay. You, can I say recently? You recently got married, a couple of years?
Yes, 3 years now.
That's newly married compared to some of us over here.
Okay, cool.
How has that been? Like, how has that changed life? How has it been? And also, like, given your super busy schedule as a filmmaker, actor, investor, there's so many things. How is that work-life balance, what they call, coming in? And how is, just tell us about the journey. How did you meet her? How has it been after the marriage? And how does your busy schedule and dividing the family time versus work time work?
Like I said, most of my work is play. My wife is also an artist. She does design in multiple areas of And there's things that we do together. We understand the sense of art and all of it. So like I said, it's not really my job. It's a lifestyle. She enjoys part of that lifestyle, and there's enough time for both of us. And what it's done for me is it just made me a more balanced human being. Otherwise, I can just keep flying around. Like, I can just move with the wind. I say, okay, that's fun. I can just be in another country, be there for a couple of years and come back. But now there's some sense of belonging, I guess.
What's the best part of being married?
What's the best part of being married? Yeah, like I said, there's a sense of responsibility. You just feel like, okay, now we need to do things right.
Yeah.
Because earlier, otherwise, there's no one telling you what to do, or there's nothing, you just are going, right? So I just feel like this is important.
Yeah. Is the green lighting process for films in the South different from the green lighting process of films in Mumbai? Because we do find the content is very different sometimes. Or is it because the tastes of people are different? Or is it, and I would say the South has been producing better content for the last couple of years at least. What is different? Is it the structure is different? Are the players different? Are individual tastes different? Or is it just a coincidence that this has happened?
Well, two very simple things that happen is, if you talk about Mumbai and how the industry functions, there are many more corporations that drive decisions. Here, I can talk about the 4 states in that sense, or the 4 industries, where it's still run very independently by a certain set of creators. And when you're corporations, it's hard to get creative measures in process, which is why there will be decisions that are made more on a corporate or a what's working kind of level. But whereas when you're a filmmaker, you're always trying to create something new, create a new experience. And second, the way the finances are involved. If you see in a film like Baahubali, it is the producers taking debt and interest in making those films, and so how all the films in South India are made, where everyone has a personal stake to win or lose, although it's much more safer an industry now than it ever was before. But the decisions are still made by artists, filmmakers, and somebody who's been in business for a really long period of time.
So there's that creative element. The creative people are in
the
control.
film comes before the business.
Yes, it still is that way. Do we have audience questions? Anybody who has a question, please raise your hand. We have maybe time for 1 or 2. If you want to ask Rana anything. And please introduce yourself, and if you can get a mic for him. No, but they are recording and it's being aired, so.
We can just keep going like this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hi, my name is Ananda, and I really got onto the point you said about social media. If you're not physically involved, if you're not doing jack about it, you don't probably deserve to pick a side. Do you think we'd be better off without social media influence, or was the world a better place before it all happened, before the boom happened?
So I don't have social media on my phone, it's on my laptop, and my life is awesome. So I just urge everyone to follow that, because whenever you want to see stuff, you can see it on big screen and others, and just live your life. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. So
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, over there.
Hi, good morning. My name is Radhika.
Hi, Radhika.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
There was a time, and we had the Honorable Governor of Telangana earlier, and she said that, southern states have always felt that they are not being understood. And there was a feeling at one point that even the southern film industry felt like that, Bollywood is idolized. And then something like Baahubali happens, and it changes the game, right? Now there is financing coming from Bollywood. And in fact, Bollywood perhaps is trying to copy the style of southern cinema. Do you think the tables have turned? And was there at any point where, people went, whoop, our cinema rules, and it's actually at the Oscar stage?
Depends on which part of the country you lived in, really, right? If you live in Hyderabad, we were always collecting, Tamil films were always running in Telugu. Telugu films did well here. We had it always collected more money than a lot of Hindi films for most period of time. You just got to know it. That's pretty much it. And before Bahubali, so and we were always pushing boundaries. Like even before Bahubali did, there was a huge era of local language, regional films being dubbed in Hindi and being watched. Like I know 3 or 4 channels that just run on this and no other Hindi content. So it's always been there. It's just that news and media and some people in the industry got to know a bit late. That's it.
I think, Rana, we'll conclude here.
Thank you
so
sir.
much. You
It's been such a
really
pleasure.
are, you know, there are actors who just like need a script and act, but you're not, like, I mean, actor is what you're most known as today, and that's how people describe you, but there is so much more to you, and you're an entrepreneur, you're a philosopher, you're a thinker, and a very balanced human being. I think inspiration to millions and millions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. Such an honor.